Welcome into WSBU 88.3 The Buzz, live from St. Bonaventure University. You're listening to the Director's Cut with Nic Rohloff and Tyler Smith. It is good to be in here on a nice Monday morning or Monday afternoon after the Masters. And it was a great tournament. Got a little shaky at the end. It looked like it was over, then it wasn't. It was a great tournament. We'll recap that to begin, and then we'll go into last Monday because we led up to the national championship. Okay, we'll talk about that. Got some NFL draft, MLB. Got to talk some Bonnie's basketball, and we'll close it off with some NBA. So we got a packed show, so stay tuned. But Tyler, let's start the biggest news of the weekend. Japan's first major championship winner men's major championship winner for golf. Hideki Matsuyama, the Masters champion, 10 under, 73, 1 over on Sunday. Held on barely, but was able to get it done. What did you think of the tournament?
It was entertaining because, if we look back at just November, Dustin Johnson wins the Masters 20 under, and you slice that and you have a first-place winner this time around. Really crazy. I was shocked that Matsuyama, he goes into Sunday. Basically, I said he holds okay. 11 under. He should be okay.
Inched that margin up a little more. Got up to 13 under, I believe, and then obviously started making things a little more interesting for him. The field, but I love the tournament. Masters is the most anticipated golf tournament of the year, and it's definitely my most anticipated golf tournament of the year. Would have liked to see a playoff happen with potentially Zalatoris or not Scotty Scheffler, Xander Schauffele. But I love that he got this win. He was in his first Masters 10 years ago at 19 years old. Now he's 29 and wins the green jacket for the first time. And I don't know if you saw the picture of him walking through the airport this morning. Yeah, just so casual. Hideki morning after Masters, walking through an airport, flying commercially, and just not a care in the world for the Japanese icon now. And it was just a really good tournament by him. I'm glad he was able to stay poised because nobody wants to see a blown lead like that, although entertaining. But he deserved the win. He was the best golfer for the second half of the tournament, and that's who deserves to win it. And obviously, that's what we saw. Would have been cool to see a little Zalatoris playoff, though.
Yeah, and this tournament is really won on Saturday because the round was going. It seemed like everyone was packed up in a bunch, pretty good. Like everyone was stuck around 7, 6, 5 under. Then the rain delay happens, and Matsuyama comes out of the rain delay and just goes crazy. Shot a 7 under around that day. So it was just unreal. Like he was just firing in darts, and Jim Nantz asked him in the post-game interview, what'd you do in that hour period where there was nothing going on? He said, I was sitting in my car on my phone. I guess that's the key to success in the Masters. You just got to take an hour break, be on your phone, and then you're going to come back and fire darts all over the. It was an unreal performance, especially on Saturday, because it seemed like we were going to get a really, really tight race coming into Sunday, and then but that second half of the round in the last 7, 8 holes after the rain delay, he just came out like a madman and really took control of the tournament. And he did what he needed to do because he didn't have a good. He didn't have a great round. He 1 over. That's not very good. And it was just so big for him to have all the breathing room. But if you remember, there was, I believe, he was at 4 golfers. I believe it was Schauffele, Zalatoris, Justin Rose, and then Corey Connors, all at 7 under.
Yeah.
And he had a 4-shot lead. He ended up winning by 1, but he did what he needed to do on Saturday, and that's where the tournament was won. They call it moving day for a reason.
Yeah, and he really separated himself from the rest of the field. And I just want to talk about why the course this time around felt so difficult compared to last time. Obviously, you get the rain delay, but in a lot of instances, a lot of golfers, especially as the day goes on, the ground gets softer. It's easier to put the ball in the position that you want to do. And if you want to talk about putting the ball in the right position, Xander Schauffele did not do that on 16 on Sunday. It looks like he was going to make a serious run. He came in 2019 and now comes up just short again. But on 16, he puts it way too short on the green, and it rolls into the water. Had to have put it up way above the green. He would have had to roll down. It would have been a nice 2-putt, but obviously that's not the case. We saw a different result, and he was on. What was he? 2 strokes behind Matsuyama at the time.
I believe so, because he was 10 under and Matsuyama was 12 under going into 16.
And then Matsuyama, even after the fact, bogeys 16, so he would have been right there even if he just could save par. Obviously, he had to take the drop, and it was a bad shot after the drop. After that, sends it way over the green, and then he ends up triple bogeying. He has never triple bogeyed in a major in his entire life. Kind of the wrong place to be doing that, but he looked so out of it in the beginning of the day. I mean, by hole 5, he looks like he had no chance at competing towards the end of the night. And he turns it around from 9 through 16. He just goes on a tear, and he's on right on the behind of Hideki Matsuyama, and obviously, like we just said, falls a little short. But I mean, shouts out to Xander Schauffele, because at multiple points throughout the weekend, nobody thought he was going to be in the position that he was. He clawed his way back, and he fell up just short. So it makes sense.
Yeah, you talked about him starting off so poorly. He was 3 over through the first 6 holes, and then the next 9 holes, he was 6 under, birdieing 12 through 15, 4 in a row. And the tournament was basically over. I think it was legitimately – Matsuyama was at 13 and Zalatoris bogeyed, I think, somewhere in that 15 hole range. So he had a 6-shot lead with 6 to play, and then you just see Schauffele birdie 4 in a row. Matsuyama bogey, obviously hole 15. He sent it was perfect position, hit a 4-iron, caught it a little too good, hit the green and flew back to the water, and then Schauffele almost eagled that hole, barely missed the chip, and the crowd would have went nuts if that happened. It would have been craziness. But you mentioned that the course was playing a lot more difficult than it was last fall, and I think they did that on purpose, because you saw Dustin Johnson win it with such a low score. And when you see that, the people who run the course, they don't like that, and they're going to make it more difficult the next time around. They did that. They let the greens firm up a lot more than they did. If it never rained on Saturday and that greens didn't get that extra mid-round moisture to them where the balls can stick, I think the winning score would have been a little bit lower. I think it would have ended up at the winning score maybe even being 7 under, because you saw a lot of good scores after that rain delay because of how soft the greens got, and you could just fire away and not hit them, because you could see, and I even mentioned someone just watching it, you can see brown spots on the green. So at points on the TV, and people would ask me, not that they watch golf a lot, and they would say, why is it not perfectly green? I feel like if it's this nice of a course, it should be. Well, they do that on purpose to get so it's more solid, and you can't just throw it at the pin and it sit there, because if with those greens being as hard as they were on Friday and Thursday and early Saturday, they hit and they would take a monster bounce. So you'd have to really hit a lot of spin, and spin control was key. And Matsuyama is one of the better iron players on tour. So I whenever it comes to a big event in the PGA, I always bet for the people who can control their iron shots and wedges. That's the people. That's why Morikawa to win it all, is because he's one of the best iron players on tour. That's who I like to put my money on when it comes to the big tournaments.
Yeah, Morikawa, he'll get his chance. One of the youngest players on tour, so obviously 4th ranked in the world right now. He's not going anywhere. Young golfers in this tournament were very prominent, obviously. My long shot prediction, the young Canadian Mackenzie, he made the cut, ended up 4 over, but I mean, so did a lot of guys who normally shine in Augusta. Obviously, Will Zalatoris, I didn't know who he was before the weekend. Obviously, Nick watches a little more golf than I do, but his emergence was something to really take a look at and be amazed, because a guy who I haven't seen really in a major championship shine like that. Obviously, doing it on the biggest stage, that's awesome. But if you want to talk about the veterans, I mean, guys like Jordan Spieth did way better than everybody.
Spieth's hot.
So he's really hot right now. Obviously, he won the Valero Texas 2 weeks ago, but he played really well down the stretch of the Masters. He had his moments where he was in a lull, but on Sunday he played really, really well. I do want to talk about DJ though. What happened with Dustin Johnson?
The putter failed him, and that's his biggest weakness. Obviously, his driving is unreal. Like I don't know the exact numbers off the top, but he's definitely top 15 in like driving, and he can obviously hit his irons well. The biggest part of his game is his putting, and that's the biggest tell. If he has the putter going, there's not a person in the world that is better than him. But if his putter's cold, it'll hurt him, and he missed a couple easy putts. I was actually just watching a replay the other day too, the 2018 Ryder Cup match, because I love the Ryder Cup. And Dustin, him and my guy Ricky, they faced actually Henrik Stenson and Justin Rose. Ended up losing that match, but Dustin Johnson's putting in that was so bad, and that's like how he gets out of sorts. If he doesn't make putts, then it translates to his ball striking, and that gets a little worse than it usually is. Golf is like a thing where, like, if one thing is not clicking, it drags into something else.
Total mental game.
Yeah, it's the most mental game out of almost anything, I think. But I wouldn't put too much stake in it. I mean, he just had a bad couple rounds. He choked it away. He was going to make the cut, and then he bogeyed the final. To make it, he actually went bogey to miss the cut, and I just really think it stemmed from his putting. That's what I think was his biggest issue. But you mentioned Zalatoris being so young. Just a quick tip on him: I don't even think he has his PGA Tour card yet.
Yeah,
I don't think he does. The only reason why he was able to play in the Masters is because he qualified for the U.S. Open for, I think, I don't know the exact reason, but hey, obviously he's not like a full-time member on PGA Tour because he didn't receive any FedEx points for this, for coming in second, which would have been like a 360, I think. But either way, the only reason why he qualified is because he finished top 10 in the U.S. Open. His first ever major in the U.S. Open in the last fall when Bryson DeChambeau won, he finished tied for sixth. And if you finish tied in the top 10, you qualify for the next major. That just happened to be the Masters, and then fires up into obviously second place, lone second. So he'll be in the next major as well because of how well he did here. And I believe he'll be back in Augusta next spring because of his finish here as well.
I'm sure that number 2, especially alone, gets you another trip back to Augusta.
Yeah.
Did he play in November in November's Augusta?
He did not. This was his first time ever playing in Augusta. That's why it was so crazy.
That is crazy.
First time ever playing in the Masters, you finished second. Like, that's unbelievable.
And I mean, if you want, we talk about it not being great scores, but I mean, look at the rest of the field. Bryson DeChambeau goes 4 over. A bunch of my guys went 4 over. Justin Rose slips down to what did he shoot? 6 under.
Yeah.
So
the crazy thing about him, he shot 7 under in the first round and then played the next 3 rounds 2 over. He finished 5 over.
Oh, 5. That's what I thought. Yeah, because he bogeyed last hole, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it was just. You look at the scores, like John Rahm finished tied for 5th. What was his score? He went even par rounds 1 through 3 and then fired 6 under on Sunday. Like, it's just like you look at some of these rounds and like Tony Finau, for example, he finished tied for 10th. He finished under 2 over on the first day, then went 6 under, and then went 1 over on the weekend. Like, it's just
weird tournament.
Yeah, you look at some of these scores and it was like they played so well on like 1 round, and then the rest were mediocre. Another just example to show you, Brian Harmon went 3 under, 3 under, and then went 2 over, 2 over. That's like he was 6 under after the first 2 days, and then went 4 over on the weekend. Like, so the scores were odd, but hey, my favorite golf tournaments is when the winning score hovers around 10, 11, 12 under like this one. I like when through the 4 rounds,
if you shoot 3 under a day, that would win you the tournament. That's what my favorite golf tournaments are. I don't like when it gets to like 23, 24 under. That's too easy.
Yeah, but it was a really fun tournament. I enjoy watching the Masters every year. When is the next major, by the way?
May. PGA Championship, I believe it's, let me pull up the calendar. I know the exact date if I get the calendar in front of me. Here it is. I believe it's the 20th to the 23rd.
So right before the week before Memorial Day.
Yeah. It's originally it's moved up more than usual because it was always in August, the PGA Championship.
Yeah.
And they moved it up just, I think, last year. They didn't do it last year because COVID, everything got pushed back.
Yeah.
But the original plan was to do that. Obviously, Colin Morikawa, guy I picked to win the Masters, is the defending champion after winning at TPC Harding Park in California. That's going to be a good tournament. I think they're playing, I'm spacing on the course name. It's a really, beachy course. I think it's Kohiwa. I can tell you. I'm going to look when we're on break. I'm going to look at that and tell you or say before we move on to the next subject. But, yeah, the major's not too far away. I don't know when the other majors are, though. So
I mean, there's usually one in July. I believe,
Yeah.
is the British Open usually in July?
I don't know because the thing is, obviously you have the one in the Masters in the spring, and I'm pretty sure the
U.S. is usually June area.
yeah U.S. Open's usually in summer. PGA Championship used to be the last major in mid-August, late August.
It makes sense that it's the last major.
Yeah, but now then they moved it up, so I don't know when the 2 Opens are, but I'm pretty sure we have a Ryder Cup. I said last show. In the fall, so that'll be entertaining.
That's the biggest mid major of golf right there, the Ryder Cup.
If outside the Masters, that's probably it might even be bigger than the Masters. I don't know. When you get the Ryder Cups, it gets pretty electric. I gotta say that. I think that's gonna close the Masters talk. I think that is it. It was a shame that Xander choked on 16 because I believe that if he didn't hit in the water, I told you pre-show he would go on. Matsuyama looked rattled.
He did. I would have liked to
Stumbled
see.
the finish line.
I would have liked to see them really just battle it out on 18 for everything. That was.
There's a wrinkle in those plans. But.
Yeah, we're going to head to break. When we come back, we're going to go into the national championship game last Monday because no one really expected to see that. But stay tuned for that. You're listening to Director's Cut with Nic Rohloff and Tyler Smith on WSBU 88.3 The Buzz.
Unless we get a huge update as far as the Bonnies or college basketball in general, as station manager Tom Seck walks into the room. No, yeah, this will probably be the last time we have a full.
On our bracketology show, Tom came in here, looked at my bracket, and said, Baylor, no way they win. Yeah, hey, Tom, Baylor won. That's humble brag. Back to back.
Humble brag.
Back-to-back national champions I picked correctly. And that's the funniest thing is when Virginia won it all, and I picked them. That's the first time I've ever picked a national championship.
Yeah, that was the only time I ever got it.
And then I pick this one as well. I was on Baylor the whole season. I just loved the way they play. I honestly think, before we get into the actual game, but I think that the weight of being like one of the only undefeated national championships ever, I think it weighed Gonzaga.
I think I would put more stock into them playing 2 nights before in overtime and then UCLA taking them the distance. I think both factor in because not only was Gonzaga half of the Gonzaga's roster was a young team. I mean, you got Joel Ayayi and Corey Kispert going to the NBA draft, but I mean,
can't believe Joel Ayayi's going.
Yeah,
good
player, but he's not a pro.
I don't but okay.
And I really like Joel Ayayi. But
before you go on,
yeah,
he declared. You can do that thing where you declare, test the waters, and still remain your eligibility. He didn't.
He just said, "No, I'm gone."
He's all out going.
We'll see. I mean, it's always those kind of guys who you're like, oh, why is he kind of entering the draft? And then they kind of surprise people and become good pros. So, I'll hold out hope on it. Yeah. I like the way he plays a lot. He's scrappy. But you're losing him and Kispert, and you're left with, you're going to lose Suggs too in reality. So you have Suggs, Nembhard, Drew Timme. Those guys are all fairly young, hadn't seen, a real test like that in their entire college careers. And it wore on them. It did. And, like you said, with their undefeated season looming over their head, that was another thing that affects a young basketball player like that. It's a lot of weight to be putting on a 19, 20-year-old kid is, engraving your name into college basketball lore as a team is just something that you really it's not something to be taken lightly, there's a lot of weight that was on Gonzaga in the national championship, but I wouldn't just attest it to one thing.
And I've been against Gonzaga my whole life, and I guess you could call me a downer, but like with the Wichita State teams as well, like when these teams come in, such high season in the tournament, like Gonzaga has been a top 4 seed for the past probably 6 or 7 years.
Oh yeah,
they've got to the championship twice, lost twice. And it was the first time in 2017 when they lost to North Carolina they've ever been to the Final Four ever as a school, and this is their second time this past season. I have never been a guy. If you play in that week of a conference, you might be 26-2, 30-2, under 31-0 like Gonzaga. If you don't play top tier competition every night, it will hurt you in the tournament. I've always believed that. I could be proven wrong eventually, but you haven't seen one of those teams from a weak conference win in such a long time because of that. Like, I truly think if you even just put Gonzaga in the Pac-12, they ran through the Pac-12 in this tournament.
Yeah.
Well, besides UCLA, they squeaked out. But they beat every 2 or 3 Pac-12 teams this tournament. If they saw that competition every night, and maybe just lost once in the regular season, I think it would have benefited them so much going, because they haven't seen the level of talent Baylor had. Like, Baylor just was all out. They were out. They're out rebounding them, outworking them. Out
rebounding is something I was really, really surprised with.
I really wasn't, because if you look at the way Gonzaga plays, they play a 4-out offense, where they have Corey Kispert as their 4, who could not defend the Sabres.
He forgot how to play basketball in the Natty.
Yeah, he didn't play good the whole tournament. He averaged, I think, close to his, but but he was so inefficient. That's the problem with Gonzaga. They played a 3-guard lineup, and that's why I thought Baylor matched up so well with them, is because you have 3 basically point guards in Davion Mitchell, Jared Butler, and Maceo Teague, and then you have Mark Vidal, who I just said all year is Dennis Rodman in college. And you got Flo Thama didn't really make much of a difference, but then you got a big that's with length and athleticism that could at least try to slow down.
And you rotate him in with Chachua as well.
Yeah, and that was my thing. Like they run a guard lineup, like basic because Kisper's basically a 2 in the NBA when he goes there.
Yeah, so we'll see what he does.
They basically run a 4-guard lineup, and that's what Baylor does, just with Mark Vidal, who's just a 6'6", basically guard that doesn't know how to do anything but work and get rebounds. So I just thought Baylor matched up perfectly with them, and then obviously when you have Matthew Meyer, Adam Flagler, and then you said his name correctly.
Yeah, it's like I know Chachua is the last part of it. So
yeah, when you have those 4 players coming off the bench, it's going to be you can wear your opponent down, and the way they played defense and could switch almost everything was
the key. That was absolutely the key, and I guess we're obviously talking about the game now. It seemed like there were 7 defenders on the court at minimum for Baylor the entire game. At half court, that's something that I was very for most of the game, because that can obviously wear on their guard play, especially offensively, because Baylor also they hit what seemed like every 3-pointer they took for the past 2 games, in the Final Four against Houston and then the national championship. It didn't seem like they knew how to miss a basketball shot. But the defense is really where they won this game. Obviously, like you said, the rebounding obviously played a big part as well. But they just never let Gonzaga get in a rhythm. They picked up at half court, got in their face, and like you said, Gonzaga has not seen that level of competition all year. Yes, they were competitive with West Virginia. Yes, they blew the doors off of Iowa. Yes, they beat UNC. But I probably should have put more stock into Baylor than I actually did, because I was claiming the Big 12 to be the best conference in basketball all year, and Baylor ran through the Big 12. I probably should have put a little more stock into them when I was picking my bracket. I had them in the Final Four, but I probably should have put more stock into them when thinking about my national championship pick. They were so in their face every possession. It was so ridiculous. And, when Jared Butler is obviously playing like he should for the second half of the tournament, this team is virtually unbeatable, and that's what we saw in the national championship.
And that's what I brought up when we talked about it last week and then the week before, is that Baylor made it to the Final Four without Jared Butler playing a good game. I mean, they were riding Maceo Teague and Davion Mitchell and Flagler and Matthew Meyer coming off the bench. And Jared Butler was scoring 13 a game, but struggling, turning the ball over. And then when it got to the Elite Eight, when they played Arkansas, Butler finally turned it on, and they started looking like the full team Baylor that I knew. And because they were winning every game by double digits with Butler struggling, and then they obviously, in the Elite Eight, beat Arkansas by 9, beat Houston
by 30.
20. Yeah, I don't know what the exact number is, but it felt like 40.
Yeah, that game was over by halftime.
Yeah, and obviously they beat Gonzaga by 16. That game was never close. The thing about this, Baylor got out to a 9-0 start, and
it was a wire-to-wire win.
Yeah, it was never close. The closest ever was 0-0. Again, it's just hard to think about that when you had a 31-0 team coming in looking dominant. The number 1 scoring team in college basketball held to 70 points. Baylor's offense was elite all year, but when you have such an elite offense, the defensive side gets kind of pushed to the side because it's like, offense. But Baylor's defense was something like that. I don't think anyone really comprehended that it was on par with their offense.
You have to tip your cap to Scott Drew, the head coach of Baylor. Before he came to town, whatever it was, 18 years ago, not only was Baylor ridden with scandal, but they had maybe I got the number in a blog I wrote 2 weeks ago or last week. But Baylor I believe had 2 20-win seasons in its entire history, dating back to 1907 or something like that. He's had 5 straight 20-win seasons, or I think it's actually been 9 of the last 10. He's had 20-win seasons, and being top seeded in the tournament, last year he was going to be a number 1 seed. This year he was a number 1 seed, got the job done. But a few years ago, obviously being a 3 seed, losing to Yale, being a 3 seed, losing to Georgia State and RJ Hunter. I mean, they have gone through the trials and tribulations as a basketball program, and now they've reached the pinnacle. Baylor is going to be if Scott Drew obviously stays there for a while, I'm sure they're going to keep him in town in Waco now that he's built such a program. I could see Baylor competing for the next few years. They're going to get good recruits now that they've established themselves as one of college basketball's elite. It was.
Yeah, and you put in the show plan, what does this do for Baylor's top players and for them in the future? They'll still have like good players. They're obviously Jared Butler's going to the NBA. He's already declared. Davion's already declared. Mark Vital was a senior. Michio Teague was a senior. But they'll have Matthew Meyer still. They have Flo Thamba still. They have Tatawa still. I feel like butchering that name. But they have Flagler still. They still have like 4 or 5 key players. And
wouldn't shock me if Vital came back either.
And I believe they actually have a top recruit coming in. I'm actually going to find this right now, but they're still going to be good now.
Oh yeah, they're I believe they're like 12-1 to run it back. So, I mean, it's never a good thing to take teams to win the national championship back-to-back years because there's so much parity in college sports in general. But Baylor obviously going to return a decent amount of players. I will admit, their top 2 offensive weapons won't be in town.
Top 3 offensive weapons.
Michio Teague won't be there either?
Yeah, no, he's a senior.
Okay.
All right, so I found it. They have the 20th overall recruit according to ESPN Top 100. Kendall Brown, 5-star, 6'8" small forward coming in.
That'll help.
And then 4-star, 23rd ranked recruit, Langston Love, 6'4" shooting guard.
Yeah.
So they have talent coming in.
They'll be
alongside
back.
Those 4 or 5 players coming in. I'm not going to say they're going to win the whole thing again and repeat because that never happened.
No.
Outside of Florida in 06-07, but
that team is also nasty in 06-07.
I love the flashbacks to like, oh my God, look at all these people walking around Florida. I think it was like 2008.
Probably was 2008. Yeah.
That's when like Tebow was like a freshman and stuff like that. They had Joakim Noah.
Yep. Al Horford, Corey Brewer.
It was unbelievable talent.
And then you could, there's a whole laundry list of the guys on the football team that won the national championship there. I mean, Tallahassee was rocking those 2 years.
Yeah, but either way, Baylor's going to be back, and they're going to be really good next year, I think. Like I said, it's like borderline impossible to repeat, so I wouldn't pick them to win it all next year in the tournament, but I would probably put it down they'll be a top 3 seed in the NCAA tournament next year.
Oh, yeah, top 3 seed, absolutely. I would lock that one in as well. What does this do for Gonzaga, though? Because Baylor, we know what they're going to do. Like you just said, you list off their recruits. They're losing guys, but they're also going to be gaining guys who can help, especially Baylor is going to be back defensively. It seems like they're bringing back their key defensive pieces and, 3-and-D guys. Their offensive game is going to be something that will need improvement as the season goes on, but that's the case with a lot of teams. Baylor will be back, but will Gonzaga be back? They're currently the preseason favorites to win it all, plus 600. I hate the value, first of all. What is Gonzaga looking at the next season? I mean, they bring back Timmy, they bring back Nemhart. What else are they really bringing back?
Yeah, they're probably
I hear they're in the running to get Chet Holmgren, who's the number. That's probably why they're plus 600.
Chet Holmgren is the number 1 recruit. He's a 7'1" center, but he plays like Kevin Durant.
It's weird.
He's the schools still left on his list is Georgetown, Gonzaga, Memphis, Michigan, Minnesota, because he's from Minnesota, North Carolina, Ohio State. If he goes to Gonzaga, I think my official thought of teams in weaker conference not winning it all would end there. If he goes to Gonzaga, they would probably win it all because Timmy's going to stay because he doesn't really have NBA value right now.
Not right now.
I don't think he will have value either because of how bad he is defensively, and he really struggles rebounding against an athletic big man, and you saw that against Baylor. But if Chet goes there, oh, God.
I mean, also a high school teammate of Jalen Suggs, so I'm sure he'll be pulling for him to go to the Bulldogs. That would be really fun, though. I'd like to see what he does, like what his skill, like what will Mark Few or any college coach do with Chet Holmgren. That's going to be really something that I'm very interested to see next year.
He's very good defensively. He's very thin, but he's lengthy and can block shots. Hidden next to Timmy. Like I said, Chet's 7-1.
195 though. That's. Ugh.
I mean, yeah, but he gets weight on him. And also, they've also got a 5-star point guard coming in, Hunter Salas. He's the 13th ranked recruit, and they have 2 other top 100 recruits coming in as well. They're going to be back. And
if I just want to say one more thing on Holmgren. I mean, I think there's only one place that I could see even having a chance of prying away, because he has North Carolina on here. That's always an enticing spot to go. But Roy Williams is gone now, obviously. Michigan's the only spot I could see him even considering.
I don't think he'll go to Michigan because Michigan already has 2 top 10 recruits signed with them.
Okay.
Caleb Houston and Musa Diabite, 2 5-star recruits, small forward, power forwards, 7th and 8th ranked in the country. Got the list up here. Michigan's going to be loaded next year.
Oh my God, yeah, and they're bringing back to Hunt. They're going to have a guy who's on the Wooden Watch all year long, Hunter Dickinson. Are they bringing back Livers?
I think he was a senior, but he could use that extra year of eligibility, so you never know.
Yeah, Jawan Howard has the locker room there. He loved, like, the players love playing for him. So I would not be surprised if a bunch, if not all, seniors on that team came back and played another season for
This
the
wasn't in the
Wolverines.
show plan, but I want to bring this up. One of the other Final Four teams, UCLA.
Yeah.
They are preseason top 5, some people, because they're bringing back a decent amount of people, and they've also got a 5-star point guard coming in. Do you buy any of that, or do you think it was just a Cinderella run and they'll be overhyped to come in?
No, because they were good. UCLA was 17-5 at one point in the season, and then they fell apart. Obviously, built things up rather quickly when it came to the tournament, but they're going to lose Johnny Juzang, right? Like, that's 100%. Like, there's no way he comes back after a tournament like that.
He hasn't said anything yet, so
there is no way.
I don't know where people, like, the analysts have him, like, mocked yet. So maybe it would be late first round. I don't know.
UCLA has the 60th ranked recruit coming in. They also have the 67th ranked recruit coming in. I mean, yeah, they have
alongside, like, the 5-star point guard. I mean, too.
Yeah, I was gonna look up at the top of the list.
They have talent coming in.
Yeah, they do have talent coming in for sure. It's gonna be interesting to see, is Tiger Campbell a senior? I don't know the specifics of all these guys yet, and I see the point guard. Oh, never mind. They have the number 12 recruit in the nation too. 6'7" small forward also signed to UCLA. That's gonna be.
Nick Cronin's building something out there.
I get people definitely like playing for him. I like Mick Cronin as well. He's just so consistent. I mean, he carried Cincinnati. Look what they're doing now without him there. It's going to be a really interesting college basketball season, but it seems like the Pacific area is kind of taking over college basketball dominance lately.
Yeah.
West Coast is definitely putting their staple on the sport, but we'll see what happens. Gonzaga's 12-1, or Gonzaga's 6-1, Baylor's 12-1. But you want to know who's great value for next year's national championship right now? Well, I'll tell you, it's the St. Bonaventure Bonnies, and they are 50-1 currently. And if you looked at the New York Post today, everybody's favorite credible journalism outlet, they posted some early betting value for next year's national championship, and the featured graphic of the story was Kyle Lofton and the St. Bonaventure Bonnies. So as we transition to that, it's been an eventful few weeks for our hometown Bonnies. Got bounced in the tournament. We talked about it. They didn't show up. I went on a rant privately off the record. We will never speak of the words I said after we lost that game. It was not something for the radio or anything like that. But the Bonnies are on the map. Preseason rankings and the way too early rankings. All the pundits around college basketball have the Bonnies top 25. Nick,
This means only one thing.
There's no way we win the A-10 now.
Losing the first game of the season.
We're absolutely losing the first game of the season. If just schedule Jackson State, please. Just give us something where you can beat a team by 40 and just go to the next game.
Take the Davidson route. Let's play a D3 school.
Yeah. You know what? Let's just do that. Yeah, we'll actually count the Alfred game this year. That will actually be on the schedule.
When we play Alfred on first scrimmage, that's going to be going on our record. Because I am very Listen, the hype is there.
15 is too high. I'm sorry. It's way too high.
I said it when they lost, before transfers started coming in and recruits came in, that the Bonaventure should be ranked preseason top 25.
I agree with that.
I was thinking 22, 23.
At the highest.
15, that's like, I mean, I am a negative sports fan. Like, I just assume the worst.
Pessimistic.
Yes, I assume the worst so I can be surprised. And if it happens, then I'll expect it and I wasn't let down. It's not okay, but what is this? Tom, our manager, station manager, commented, give me Bonnies versus Ohio to open the season. Preston versus ranked Bonnies. Tom, why do you want us to lose?
We would obviously lose that game. We already lost that game last season. Like, we don't want to go through this again. Like, they would beat us in the Rally Center. That's the only team I'd confidently say, especially out of a mid-major conference like the MAC, would come into the Rally Center and give us a punch in the mouth. Definitely.
Like I said, I'm negative. So just like when the St. Bonaventure Bonnies are consensus, I think the average is about 17, 18. Ranked in the way too.
Yeah, some guys have us 22, some guys have us as high as 15, like we said. So yeah, go 17,
Ross
18.
had us at 16 today. Right?
Yeah.
So that consensus is like 18, 17, 19, that little range. It's a little too high.
I don't want to.
St. Bonaventure Bonnies, in my opinion.
I don't want to let people down. Like, I really don't. Like, I love this team and I love the chemistry we built, and they love the chemistry they've built. They love that we're going to have fans in the RC, hopefully. All the students who want to go to the game can go next year. That will be awesome. They want everybody in the house. I'm glad that we did lose the way we did. If we're going to talk about anything as far as motivation for next season, I'm glad we lost the way that we did. You know, they were riding high after an A10 championship, and next year that will be the expectation, is to win the A10.
And there's always a difference between being the hunter and the hunted.
Exactly. Everybody I do not want to compare us to the Golden State Warriors of the NBA, but for 3 years, everybody gave them their best shot every night in the regular season. Not just the playoffs, because obviously you're going to get everybody's best shot in the playoffs no matter what. But in the regular season, which matters definitely more in college basketball, we're going to get every team's best shot, especially when it comes to A10 play, and A10 play in a conference that got a lot better, in my opinion, this offseason.
I mean, yeah, I mentioned it. I don't know if it was last week or the week before, but I mentioned how George Washington was
quietly
building something. And then since I said that, they've gotten I think 2 more Power 5 recruits coming or transfers coming there.
Who was the big one they got? Didn't they get somebody's son?
Oh, I don't know. But it's just weird because George Washington, this school not very good.
Haven't been good for a long time.
Yeah.
I think they hired a new coach.
They've got 4 or 5 transfers from Power 5 schools this offseason. It's been unbelievable how good they've gotten just randomly from the transfer portal. Not to mention, we got a Power 5 transfer ourselves.
Two.
Yeah.
Both ACC.
Yeah. So I think Markman and company have done an excellent job. They got a backup point guard, because obviously Eddie Creel entered the portal, AJ Vasquez entered the portal, and Jay Shaw entered the portal. None of them have committed anywhere, to my knowledge. I could be missing. I don't think so. But Quadri Adams coming in, the big man from JUCO would be a nice big backup to Oshun, and then it's a forward from Pitt, right?
Yeah, Kareem Kubali.
Yeah, the name's just escaping me, but I knew where he's from in the position. I think their backup, if those 3 could come in and produce, that's all you need.
If we run an 8-man rotation, that's it. That's it. And not to mention, we have a Canadian long wing coming in. So if we need long defense like that, and say like Jalen Attaway needs a break, and we really need to defend a good ball player, the guys like that can come in and play too. We didn't have a bunch of length this season. We really didn't. I mean, our longest guy outside of Oshun and Jalen Shaw was Don Welch.
He was, yeah.
That was our longest guy, and now we have guys who can really defend multiple positions, and that's going to be the key. I mean, we talked about it with Baylor. If you're able to switch on a lot of defensive assignments, then you're going to go far in college basketball. We were able to do it to some extent this year. When it came to the tournament, not so much. But next season, it's going to be a totally different story. We're going to have defenders at every turn, and hopefully guys just elevate their offensive game to the point of us being able to compete on the same level as these Power 5 schools, and we're going to get tested really early. I mean, in a Thanksgiving week tournament in the Charleston Classic, the field's just been completed with Ole Miss entering the fold. Other teams like Marquette, Clemson, Temple, West Virginia. Yeah, that's the one that there's. And oh yes, can't forget Elon. Definitely the most prize addition. Boise State.
I applied for 3 schools for college. I applied to Ithaca, here, and at Elon.
Where's Elon? North Carolina?
Yeah, North Carolina.
That's what I thought. Okay. That's funny.
That they were in there. Yeah, you put in the show notes. If the Bonnies came away with a trophy in the Charleston Classic, where would they be ranked? Yeah, we're saying they're way too high right now. If they win that tournament, top 10.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
That's absurd.
Just think about it, because outside of Boise State, Elon, and Temple, all those are pretty decent Power 5 schools. Like Ole Miss isn't bad. West Virginia is obviously West Virginia.
They're going to be top 25.
Yeah, Clemson
was a 7 seed.
Yeah, Clemson's pretty decent every year, I'd say. That's a really good field, and
it's the best preseason tournament we've been in probably ever.
And John Rothstein tweeted today. I feel like we talk about Rothstein a lot, but he's just like the man with college basketball.
Yeah, there isn't a Woj Shams deal with college basketball. John Rothstein, I guess you could say Jeff Goodman, but John Rothstein holds all the cards when it comes to announcing college basketball
Rothstein
news.
even said it when the field was officially set. It was like the first thing he said. He talked about St. Bonaventure, saying what an opportunity Bonaventure has to prove to everyone how good they are outside of conference that early in the season. Will it happen? Probably not, because knowing me or my luck, it's not going to happen.
I mean, you want to talk about luck? I have some of the worst. I mean, this school is just a boatload of unluckiness. Dating back to 1970, Bob Lanier gets hurt in the Final Four. We want to go that far. But just quick, Jalen Adams' brother committed to George Washington, by the way.
Oh, that's who it was?
Yeah, Jalen Adams' brother, and Jameer Nelson Jr. is leaving George Washington to go to Delaware.
He didn't get a lot of PT.
No, he didn't. But that was who I was thinking about as far as son. But Brendan Adams, Jalen Adams' brother, who previously went to UConn with Danny Hurley, going to George Washington now. So that should be a nice addition for them.
Well, they did lose their second best player from this past season, Jameson Battle Jr.
Yeah, and Maceo Jack left early in the season as well. That was probably their best player.
Do they still have Bishop, or was he a one-and-done transfer? You know for sure?
He
was a top scorer in the A-10. He averaged 18.
It doesn't say that he's outgoing on this list. I'm on a list of A-10 transfers, courtesy of A-10 Talk, good A-10 fan account on Twitter. But Rhode Island didn't get anybody. Richmond didn't really get anybody. But Richmond's got everybody coming back.
They're going to be the oldest team in college basketball. And they were already that this past season.
Yeah, that's going to be crazy. They have 4 guys who were seniors last year using that extra year of eligibility. So the A-10 got better. St. Louis, Jordan Nesbitt is –
they had a good recruit.
Yeah, Jordan Nesbitt from he's from the Buffalo area, went to Memphis and didn't he went to Memphis with Penny Hardaway, and now he's in St. Louis now with Travis Ford. They're going to be really good. They don't lose anything really, unless Jordan Goodwin decides to go to the draft or some of their seniors decide to leave. But I could see a lot of those guys coming back, so that's going to be ridiculous. VCU, haven't heard anything on the Bones Highland front yet.
Yeah, that surprised me. I at least thought, it still could happen. There's a little time left. I at least thought he would test the waters and retain eligibility. I'm surprised I haven't seen him do that yet.
George Mason building a nice program. The new coach, new culture there. They're going to look a lot different this year. Fordham even going to look different this year. They lose a lot of guys, but they're always the armpit of the A-10. Duquesne has a lot of guys incoming, and you have guys like what's the little point guard's name on?
John Martin.
Yeah, Tavion Dunn-Martin coming back for a 5th year. I'm not sure if anybody like Michael Hughes will be coming back. I'm not sure if that's the case, but if he does, they're going to be something to look out for in the A-10 as well. Dayton getting a Georgia transfer. Is Jalen Crutcher coming back?
No.
No.
I don't think so. He didn't say anything yet.
Okay, so he has.
How about Kellen Grady going to Kentucky?
Yeah, if we're going to talk about A10 transfers outgoing at least, Kellen Grady's going to Kentucky.
That's going to be so cool to watch.
He's going to play a lot.
I've been a fan of Kellen Grady. I mean, it's like unfortunate, like I had to root against him, but I like the way he plays. Like, I think he's going to be like a major contributor.
Absolutely, I bet you he starts. I bet you he starts. And Davidson, just like for a player with his style, just wasn't the right situation. They're not a team that's like running and gunning and creating your own shot, playing a lot of iso ball. That's what Kellen Grady can do. If you just give him a couple screens, he can dribble off of a lot of contact and create his own shot at a high clip. He's an efficient shooter and he scores in a variety of ways. So it's going to be a great ad for Kentucky and John Calipari after striking out with the freshmen these past few years. I guess he's hitting the transfer market, and they're building something a little different in Lexington this offseason. So it's going to be fun.
Yeah, before we go to break, one thing I want to mention about the Bonnies, again, is that all three, outside obviously their recruit, but the three transfers they got after this season will still have 2 years of eligibility left, all three of them at least.
At least.
So you're going to see, like, these three players transferring in, is assuming they don't transfer out again, this is going to be the future of the Bonaventure Bonnies, because their recruiting class from last year, not this year, I don't even think they had I'm trying to think of freshmen they had in this team this year, like none. Like
there was no freshman on the team this year.
There was. So the whole 20, it was because
except for preferred walk-on Jermaine Taggart, who's also transferring, by the way.
Confused me. He went to a high school like 15 minutes away from me.
Where did he go to Rochester Prep?
No, he went to McQuaid.
Oh, McQuaid's good though. Yeah, they're good.
Isaiah Stewart went there before going to Lalumere, stuff like that. But
Isaiah Stewart's been getting bodied in the NBA
exactly.
recently. We'll talk about that a little bit. We'll talk about that a little bit.
But either way, like after the 2019 recruiting class being all either transferred out or like dropping out, I don't know, AJ Vasquez, Justin Winston.
Anthony, I got this right now. Anthony Roberts, he's committed to Stony Brook. If you didn't see that, Justin Winston to Robert Morris, and the rest of them are to be announced. Eddie Creel. Confusing. I didn't think he'd go into the transfer portal, but now looking at what the assets we have on the team next year, it just doesn't look like he'll be able to find many minutes. Couldn't find many minutes on this roster shortened rotation we had this season. So we'll see what he does. Quentin Metcalf still goes to school here.
Okay, he does.
Yeah.
All right, that confused me.
Yeah, I played in the Richter with him like 2 weeks ago.
I was gonna say, like, I know he didn't play basketball for like the school, but I saw a kid in the Richter one time that looked exactly like him. I was like, that looks exactly like Quentin Metcalf.
Plus his brothers do go here as well. Jalen Shaw to be announced, obviously Jermaine Taggart to be announced, and Alejandro Vasquez to be announced. I'm interested to see where AJ goes. He could play somewhere. He could play a lot of places. If you talk to Jaron Holmes, he says that Alejandro Vasquez could start anywhere else in the A10. So, I mean, high praise for AJ. Hopefully he finds somewhere that he can play, and maybe the Bonnies will see one of these guys in action next season, depending on where they go.
But that's what I like about our transfers, and is that they're going to be an immediate impact on this year's team as coming off the bench and still have 2 years of eligibility to be the future Bonnies for your senior year. So
we got so lucky. We really did with the teams that we've been able to have. Your freshman year, you get a total surprise run to the A10 championship. We would have been. I think we would have ended up in the 5th seed last year. I think with the way it shot. Yeah, it was 4 or 5. It came down to the last game, and I think we lost, and then we were the 5 seed. But and now the team obviously this season is regular season tournament champs, and next season that's the expectation and some. We're going to be nationally ranked next year. That's going to be. I didn't expect that coming in as a student. I expected us. I mean, I went to the A10 championship.
I see the day where they'd be ranked.
No. I went to the A10 championship that year, and it was awesome. For one, we ended up losing, obviously, in hectic last few seconds. Caputo. Yeah, me and Tom reenact that call by Iron Eagle weekly. But looking back on that, I was like, these guys, if they all stay, if everything works out the right way, senior year, they're going to be something special. Never expected to be preseason ranked 15th in the nation by a lot of people. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be great. The Rally Center, if it can be anywhere near full capacity next year, will probably have its roof blown off because of the volume that will be in that building. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait. This team has a lot of potential. one thing I want to see is a closer. I don't think we have a closer yet.
Well, it usually is Kyle.
I think it has to be Kyle. But I'd like to see us with a real closer against good competition, good Power 5 competition. If a game gets tight in the Charleston Classic, I would love to see who comes out and takes charge. It's going to be an early test, and we could be thrown right out of the top 25 based on how that goes. So if they want to be nationally recognized and not seen as total frauds in the beginning from the preseason ranked, they're going to have to make a statement in a tournament like that. So I'm so excited for this next season for the Bonnies.
Yeah, we're going to head to break. When we come back, we get into some talk about the NFL draft a little bit. Listen, that's only 3 weeks away.
Yeah.
Don't remind me. That's like my favorite time of the year.
The NFL draft is Nic Rohloff's favorite draft.
Yeah, it's my bread and butter. I could say that and the bracketology show are my two favorites.
Oh, definitely.
The draft show and that. Either way, stay tuned. We got some NFL draft nuggets still. Got a little MLB talk, and we close with NBA. So stay tuned. Listen to directors called Nic Rohloff and Tyler Smith live from St. Bonaventure University on WSBU 88.3 The Buzz. Welcome back into WSBU 88.3 The Buzz. You're listening to directors called Nic Rohloff and Tyler Smith. First hour was dedicated to the Masters in college basketball. Now we get ready to talk about some of the other major sports, NBA, NFL, and MLB. We're going to start in the NFL with some draft topics. 2 weeks left, basically 2.5. There's a lot of rumors out there, which is always what happens with draft time. The obvious thing to talk about is what will the Falcons do with pick number 4. They're obviously open to trading it. I have 2 different thoughts on that. But something that ties into it, we can start there, is that Jerry Jones is apparently infatuated with Kyle Pitts, the tight end of Florida, who is marked as probably the most talented and going to be the best player that's not a quarterback in this draft. Before we get to does it hold any context with Jerry Jones loving him, do you agree with what the analysts are saying about with Kyle Pitts?
He's gonna be a stud. I said months ago this guy was a Darren Waller clone. It's just I think he could be a lot better. I think he's bigger than Darren Waller, even though Darren Waller's pretty jacked for a tight end. Kyle Pitts is a freak of nature athletically. He has so much potential, and his floor is already pretty much Darren Waller. So he could be the league's premier tight end, I could say, by year 2. This guy, if he gets it, and it also depends on the right situation. If you send him to, say, Dallas, and Dak Prescott doesn't come back the right way, or Dak Prescott is behind schedule and he's not coming back for a while, yes, Kyle Pitts' production could be halted for a little bit. But you put him with virtually anybody else that has a competent quarterback situation, he's going to be, not only will he be a great individual talent, but he will elevate that offense, excuse me, and take it to new heights. If you have a dynamic tight end like that, it opens up so much more, not only with him specifically, but on the outsides. Teams have to cover more ground when you have a guy that goes up the seam and those underneath routes and that extra blocker. It is such a commodity to have a great tight end in this league. And I don't think enough teams really realize that Kyle Pitts is going to be that kind of guy who can game change an offense. And I can't wait to see where he ends up.
Yeah, where he ends up is going to be very interesting. The Cowboys, for their franchise sake, better not trade up to 4 to draft Kyle Pitts.
That's way too high.
And no, it's not way too high, I think, to draft Kyle Pitts. I do think he's that good. I just think it would just be so pointless for them to trade all the assets needed up to 4 to draft something that is not the biggest position. I mean, yeah, their tight end is not great. Dalton Schultz is their tight end 1 coming off a 20 ACL. Yeah. But when you have Michael Gallup, CeeDee Lamb, Ezekiel Elliott, and Amari Cooper, you don't need a tight end.
It would automatically be the best offense in the NFC, maybe the NFL.
No, it would be the best offense in the NFL. It would be better than the Chiefs. I don't think there's any question about that if you had Kyle Pitts to it.
Yeah.
But I don't think it gets them over the hump, even though they have that good of an offense, because their defense is still atrocious and was setting records for how bad it was in the secondary last season. I think there should be no, I know Jerry Jones he loves his team more than maybe anyone. There's no doubt about that. But I borderline think he just wants to be entertained more than he wants to win. This would be an all-time entertainment move, not a winning move.
It'd be a money move. Yep.
Yeah.
It would be an entertainment move. And like you said, Jerry Jones likes to be entertained. He was also infatuated, in quotes, with Johnny Manziel in 2013. Obviously, that didn't work out. The Cowboys had the opportunity to get him, couldn't. And, they stuck with Tony Romo, obviously, which is definitely the smarter choice. But you can't take everything into account for Jerry Jones because, yes, he is the owner. He makes a lot of decisions in the upper echelon of that franchise, but he doesn't draft every player. So it's yes, you got to take some stock into your owner and yes, your GM liking a player a lot, but if the opportunity is not there, he has people in his corner that won't let him just mortgage the future to go. Won't be worth it.
Yeah, I think the only possible way it's not a bad draft because it's what you need. If you just sit at 10 and then draft either J.C. Horn, Caleb Farley, or Patrick Surtain from the corner position, that's what their team need is. Just stay at 10, draft the corner, Hope Jack comes back healthy next year, and then you'll be right up there for the division. Wouldn't say the NFC, but you never know. They could have something happen to them. I just still don't believe in the coaching staff that they have there. But yeah, Kyle Pitts is that dude. He's gonna be really good. I don't think he makes it past 6. As bad as it is, I think the Bengals might take a weapon, which would frustrate me because I'm a Joe Burrow guy.
Yeah.
They should like draft Penei Sewell like now. Like just write the draft selection now because he's gonna be there at 5 because the top 3 are guaranteed quarterbacks.
Yep.
And the 4th, the Falcons are either gonna draft a wide receiver. They're either going to draft Pitts, a wide receiver, or trade out of it, and whoever trades there is probably going to take a quarterback.
Yeah.
Assuming it's not the Cowboys. So they should just draft Sewell now.
Sewell will be there at 5.
Yeah. So they should draft him. And then I think the Dolphins will end up taking him. They could take Jamar Chase, but with Devontae Parker still there, they signed Will Fuller to a 1-year deal. I think if you had Devontae Parker, Will Fuller on the outside, and then 2 tight end sets with Mike Gesicki and Kyle Pitts, the offense would be much better than having the 3 wide receivers if they did Jamar Chase. So I think Kyle Pitts actually will go 6. If I had to do a mock draft right now, I would have him go in there. So I don't think he makes it past 6, but I'd like to just end the point with the Cowboys. Please, for the love of like everything, for your team to win games, do not draft Kyle Pitts either at 10 or trade up to draft him at 4.
He still elevates that offense. I mean, it is already a premier offense in the NFC. But like I said before, Kyle Pitts can do a lot as far as changing the outlook of the way that your team runs.
Yeah, but you can't defend.
No, can't defend, and you can't get interceptions. So, like you said, Cowboys secondary is historically bad. I still think they go Surtain. I don't see any reason for them not to. I think he's the top cornerback in the draft.
He's my number 1 now, too.
So there just doesn't seem like there needs to be any discussion about where they go position-wise. But, to each their own. I'm not an NFL GM, so I don't know every intangible that they're taking into account. But Surtain seems like the guy there for the Cowboys.
Yeah. Let's talk about the number 3 pick because San Francisco, they traded up to the 3. That wild day. We briefly talked about it, I think.
Yeah, just a little bit. But we didn't really talk about what they were going to do.
Yeah. So they're at 3. They're going to take a quarterback. It's basically confirmed. Now, which quarterback are they going to take is the biggest question. The 3 quarterbacks there that they will have the option of taking: Mac Jones out of Alabama, Justin Fields out of Ohio State, Trey Lance out of North Dakota State. I have my opinion on this. I have an opinion on what they should do. Now, what they will do, that's a different story, but I want to know what you think they should do, Tyler.
Okay. I shouldn't be asked this question because I'm obviously a Seattle fan, so I don't want the Niners to figure their decision out and have it be successful. So I want them to draft Mac Jones because I don't think he's the guy, but they should draft Justin Fields. And I haven't been a Fields guy all year, but I think he's clear-cut the 3rd best right now quarterback in the draft.
See, I don't think it's clear-cut. I do think Fields is the 3rd best quarterback in the draft. And then in my top 5 quarterback rankings, I have Lawrence 1, Wilson 2, Fields 3, Lance 4, Jones 5. I originally believed that Lance should go 3, but I have turned my head, and I actually think Justin Fields is slightly ahead of Lance for experience-wise. He's a little bit more athletic. But there's a lot of analysts believe it, and they're starting to turn me on it just because if a lot of people believe something, there's obviously some stick there. I do think there's a chance to take Mac Jones at 3.
I think there's a chance to take him. Absolutely. Apparently, Kyle Shanahan loves Mac Jones. But
he kind of ran in college what Shanahan's offense is: play action, make a read, go downfield or over the middle of the field. And that's what Shanahan likes to do.
Yeah, Mac Jones is not the dink and dunk guy, though. I mean, they rave about his deep ball.
He got the best deep ball in the class, out of anyone.
Yeah, I can attest to that. I don't think he's got the complete package, but his deep ball is definitely something you can't gloss over. Like Joe Burrow. Well, actually, I mean, the comparison's always been Joe Burrow for this past year, because they both had excellent supporting casts in college. Without it, we don't know what they do. We know what Joe Burrow is capable of doing with the ragtag group of people on his offense in Cincinnati. He was poised to win Rookie of the Year from day one. Obviously, torn ACL cuts that a bit short, but he'll be back. I don't think that San Francisco has the studs on outside of Kittle, obviously. Outside of Kittle, I don't think San Fran has the studs on the outside to really let Mac Jones shine.
See, I disagree with you on that one because I really like their two wideouts, Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel.
I like Ayuk. I don't think the deep ball guys though.
They're not, but they can. They're Deebo's speedy, and if he stays healthy, he can help make a safety go deep alongside a corner and let Ayuk and Kittle run over the middle. And that's where Mac Jones will have to thrive. Deebo could be used on jet sweeps, pitch aheads like Tyreek Hill. Not as fast, but can use the same way. And then when they want to go deep, they use Deebo to go deep and then let Brandon Ayuk and Kittle make moves over the middle of the field. I think their weapons are good enough, and alongside their defense, I do think that the 49ers are a quarterback away from being truly special. I don't know if Mac Jones would be honestly any better than Jimmy Garoppolo.
That's what I'm saying.
So
I think Justin Fields absolutely has the opportunity, the chance to be better than
Lance do.
Lance is a project right now. That's the issue with San Fran is that they're looking to win now, and Atlanta can take that opportunity with either Fields, who people say is more of a project than Mac Jones, not as much of a project as Trey Lance. So they could go either of those two routes and still keep Matt Ryan in town, have the rookie learn from him over the next year. And if you want to even integrate him in the lineup next year, say Matt Ryan gets injured or something like that, he's declining, you could plug him in next season or the season after that. Having a guy wait 2 years, it's outlandish nowadays, but that used to be the meta. Aaron Rodgers sat out pretty much 2 years when he came to Green Bay, and Tom Brady sat out until Drew Bledsoe got hurt.
Sat out a year intentionally.
Who sat out a year?
Mahomes.
Oh yes, Mahomes sat out a year intentionally, and he's poised to be the greatest quarterback of all time in the next 10 years. But it's not normal anymore. Like we've seen Justin Herbert getting thrown into the mix, Burrow obviously getting thrown into the mix. Those guys obviously had lower or higher floors and less room to really underperform right away than these guys do, in my opinion. But sometimes you're gonna have to go your old ways eventually, and Atlanta isn't the perfect situation to do that. San Fran, not so much.
Yeah, the more I think about it, I think Justin Fields is the third best quarterback. It should be drafted third, but I almost guarantee that the 49ers will either pick Jones or Lance.
I think it goes. I think Lance is out of the picture at 3.
I don't think he is. I think teams view him as more pro-ready now than Fields.
What's Fields like? What is everybody saying that Fields can't do right now?
People, which is absurd because he can do it, but people are concerned that Fields can't go through his progressions, which he did effectively against Clemson in the national semifinal this past season. But the games against Indiana and in the Big Ten championship game, like that concerned people. Like he played very, very bad. That's the issue with him is that there's games where he just looks terrible, turns the ball over, and then there's games where he looked really good. I think he has the potential to be the best. I think if you were to take a quarterback that you wanted to play day one and be the better one, it would be I would have probably Mac Jones ranked third because I think he has a low floor but a low ceiling. A high floor and low ceiling. Excuse me.
I agree.
Trey Lance I think has the potential to be I would say like a middle floor but a high ceiling. And with Justin Fields, it's the high ceiling,
low floor,
and that's the issue. If I hate to say it because it's my team, but if the Patriots, there was not many rumors, but there's only one or two rumors out there that they could trade up to 4, draft the quarterback. They'd be a perfect place for Fields, sit behind Cam, a quarterback that kind of played like him, and then learn behind Belichick, and then go. Obviously, they just try to like get his mechanics good because Josh McDaniels is a pretty good mechanics coach for quarterbacks. But that's my take on quarterbacks between those 3. And I think the 49ers, who will want to win now in the next 1 to 2, 3 years, I think they would go Jones or Lance. That's why I think Fields, who is my 3rd quarterback, if I had to take one, I think the 49ers go with one of the other 2, though.
I can see that. I think they could go with any of the 3 right now. I would say that Mac Jones is the favorite at 3. I think he's a heavy favorite. But I wouldn't be surprised if either of the other 2 had their name called at number 3 overall. The guy who's going number 1 undisputed, though, Trevor Lawrence. People say he's I've said it, he's the best quarterback I've seen coming into a draft since Andrew Luck. But, there's always a chance things don't work out. Urban Meyer, first-time NFL coach, manning Jacksonville. What happens if it doesn't work out?
It doesn't do anything more than any other boss, but
and not working out can have a lot of definitions. I'm saying if he's not, the next quarterback guru.
Well, what if I don't know? Like Jacksonville is like the worst NFL franchise ever, statistically. They are, so it wouldn't be nothing new if he ended up stinking.
Agreed.
But I don't know. I don't think there's anything that big of a deal. Like it's not like it's one thing if like a team traded their entire draft like picks in the next 3 years to trade up and get this guy. Like this is where they finished, so they didn't give up anything other than a bad season to get Trevor Lawrence essentially. So it would stink for the franchise if he wasn't like that guy, but they're getting a young talent to roster around them. I like some of the moves they got. They also own pick 25 in this draft. So it wouldn't be the biggest in the world. See, that's the thing with the 49ers, though. Like, they trade so much. If they pick a guy who ends up stinking at 3, then they're in a worse spot than if Trevor Lawrence ends up being awful at 1.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, my God. It's not even close. You can't mortgage your future and not hit on the pick. You have to hit in some capacity.
And that's why I don't like the 49ers move. Yeah, they want to win now. They have had to – the only reason they would have traded up is if they had a clear-cut guy they liked at 3. And I don't know if, like –
I think that has to be what the case is.
Maybe Shanahan and John Lynch have that guy, but from an outside perspective, I don't see it.
Maybe that's just a masterclass of GM work by John Lynch, and obviously everybody underneath him is that they aren't letting people know what the deal is with number 3, but they've had the prospect in mind ever since they made the call to Miami.
See, if the Jets held on to Darnold and the 49ers traded up to 2, I'd feel much more secure with Zach Wilson being their pick than any of these other guys. I mean, obviously, I think Zach Wilson is going to be the better one if you include the 3 we just talked about.
Really excited to see what he can do.
Yeah, but maybe, like I said, the only reason they do this trade is if they firmly have a grasp on who they want at 3. But it's just, I don't think it's that clear to me, and other analysts have said it, who's the clear-cut third best guy outside of Lawrence and Wilson. So, I don't know. It really baffled me when they made that trade.
Yeah, but, I mean, I can't believe they're just beating it around the bush so hard that Jimmy Garoppolo just isn't the guy. Because he's not, and they're not coming out and saying he's not the guy, but all of America knows you're taking a quarterback. So what's the deal here? Are you going to get any value for Jimmy Garoppolo? Are you going to keep him in town in case this guy doesn't work out? I guess that's the case, and maybe that's smart, but you spent so much on Jimmy Garoppolo, not trade-wise, but cap-wise. You spent a lot of money on him, and now you spent a lot of draft capital getting another one. So what is going to be the deal here? I know San Francisco has a talented roster already in place. Like you said, they're just a quarterback away. But if they can't hit, then that's a real big hit to the future, the near future at least, of their franchise.
See, I with Garoppolo, I don't think he's going to get traded because whatever quarterback they take, he won't be able to bring them to the playoffs first year. Garoppolo can, been proven he can.
Yeah.
Obviously, he got him to a Super Bowl. Almost was like. I mean,
He was 8 minutes away from winning a Super Bowl.
There was 50 seconds left in the game, but he missed Emmanuel Sanders on a deep ball that was a free touchdown. I remember this play vividly because I was like, "Oh, Garoppolo going 50 yards downfield, 50 seconds left," and he had him, and he overthrew him by 10 yards. But he was one throw away from potentially winning the Super Bowl. The 49ers want a first. They won't get a first. The obviously team that everyone was like, "Oh, Jimmy Garoppolo, reunited with the Patriots." They don't have the salary cap to bring it in. People forget Garoppolo has 2 years left on his contract, $25 million a year. That's a lot. Patriots can't even bring that in, and not to even throw it in, they wouldn't offer a first-round pick. That's just way too aggressive thinking. The Patriots trade Garoppolo to the 49ers for a second-round pick, and I don't think Garoppolo's improved his stock since then.
No, not at all.
I don't know how the 49ers think they would get first for the quarterback. So I don't think he ends up getting traded. He'll probably start this whole year, and they'll probably have this guy sit behind whatever quarterback they take, sit behind Garoppolo the whole year, unless Garoppolo goes down with an injury and they throw him in.
Absolutely. And interesting enough, I believe Sam Darnold's a better quarterback than Jimmy Garoppolo. I do. And what his return got was more than a second-round pick. Obviously, it was in the following year. It'll be in 2022 going to the Jets, but it's going to be interesting to see what he can do with an actual team, because that the roster especially on offense, the defense. While Sam Darnold was in town, but there was just really nothing going on offense. There was no offensive line. There was no tight end, and Robbie Anderson, when he wanted to show up, was the only player in town that could really do anything for New York. Le'Veon Bell, total disaster signing there. And Sam Darnold really never got a fair shot. Now he's got it. Matt Rule, new system, new culture. He's got Robbie Anderson again, which is going to be fun. But now he also has DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel as well. They're going to be competitive in that division. They're going to steal some wins away from teams they might come in second in that division now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm low. I think the Saints are going to be bad this year.
Bad.
Because their roster is obviously the same roster as last year.
Michael Thomas will be on a new team by the end of the year. That's my hot take of today's show. Bold prediction today's show is Michael Thomas will be on a new team by the end of next year.
Interesting.
Because there was so much hype roaming around it last season, and he stayed for Breeze, and he's going to lose 5 or 6 games in a row this season, and he's not going to like that very much. Michael Thomas is the epitome of the diva wide receiver, and he won't like that very much. He's going to demand out of New Orleans, and he'll be on a new team by the end of the year.
I don't know what to make of Carolina. I don't know if Sam Darnold's the guy. I'll be interested to see if they end up finding a deal for Teddy Bridgewater before the draft.
It'd be nice to keep them both in town.
They got to commit to one. It'd just be a waste if they.
Well, I think they committed to Darnold enough. I think Bridgewater. Bridgewater's not a star. What?
It's terrible.
It is. It's what is it, like 10, 15 mil?
I think it was like 4 for 76 when he signed it.
It's a lot.
And obviously 1 year down. So I don't know what the average is.
It's 19. That's 19 million. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's around there. Let me double check that.
But wow, yeah, that's a lot of money.
I mean, I've been pretty critical of Teddy Bridgewater on this show because the Panthers had an electric offense of weapons, and he kind of did nothing with them, and it kind of frustrated me a little bit. So that I turned out to be not a fan of. Okay, I lied. He signed a 3-year, $63. So it's
still over $20 million.
So he's got 2 years left in at least 40. So
yeah, that's a hard contract to move.
Yeah. So I don't know. The Broncos are a suitor for him, which would be interesting because they could be in the market for a quarterback at pick 9.
If Lance falls to Denver at 9, you have to take him.
Which is interesting because picks 5, 6, 7, and 8 now that Carolina has Darnold Those 4 picks,
Not in the market.
not in the market for a quarterback. I mean, the Lions technically could draft a quarterback.
That I have seen that.
It
That
would be dumb.
it would be stupid. Just get
Jared Goff is
just
still-
get him a weapon. Just
Jared Goff is relatively young. They lost Kenny Galladay. They lost Marvin Jones. They need a weapon for Jared Goff.
Yeah.
But those 4 picks, they're pretty much shooed in to not be quarterbacks. So it'd be interesting to see if one of those teams would be willing to trade down. Maybe someone trades up for a quarterback. I don't know. There could be some big draft day trades this year, and it'll be interesting to see.
yeah, teams are going to be in the market. The teams that are outside of the top 10 are in a market for a quarterback. There's only a few, but there are some teams out there that are in the market for a quarterback outside the top 10. So yes, like you said, we could see some serious transactions come draft weekend.
Teams that come to mind, just real quick before we go to break: the Bears at 20.
Oh, of course.
Washington at 19.
Absolutely.
Patriots at 15.
Yep.
Those 3 teams, it would be too aggressive for a team in the 20s to trade up. Like, obviously, the Saints could be in the market. I think they go second round Kyle Trask, to be honest with you. Yeah, they have Winston and Taysom Hill, but if you guys think that's the answer, then you got a whole different issue.
Yeah, it's a whole different issue down in New Orleans.
But I think a second round quarterback with Kyle Trask could be the answer for New Orleans in the draft. But
Why not?
yeah, I mean those 3 teams I
Rep
named, I
the
think could
Gators.
be interesting. Definitely trade it up if they wanted to. We're gonna have the break. When we come back, we talk about some more MLB action. Tyler goes through it again, and then we finish our show with our standard NBA talks. Stay tuned on WSBU 88.3. The Buzz live from St. Bonaventure University. Welcome back into WSBU 8.3 The Buzz, live from St. Bonaventure University. You're listening to Directors Club, Nic Rohloff and Tyler Smith. With about 25 minutes to go, we still got to get into some MLB and NBA talk. So let's jump into it. No waiting around.
Nope, not today.
We got to start what happened last night.
What happened? Like, that was just out.
That was terrible. I bet we could get, because Tom's a big baseball guy. We could get him on a rant probably.
Oh no, yeah, that would go at least the 25 minutes that we have left in the show. So that can't happen tonight. But if you didn't see Phillies Braves, who's the guy who even ran the bases? I don't know.
I think his name, I know his last name is Bohm. I think it's Alex Bohm.
Yeah, okay.
For Phillies, their third baseman.
Rounding home,
Jeez.
and he slides. Throw comes to home plate. He tags him, but the ump calls him safe because he says that his foot hit the home plate before he tagged him out. Go to the replay. Clearly not the case. Clearly just totally misses it. It scrapes the ground first, and then it lifts up, goes over home plate, and never hits. And they upheld it upon review.
It went to replay, and they upheld the call, which almost everyone in America that watched the replay, watched the game, knew he didn't hit home plate, and they still called it safe. A lot of people were upset. Even when Mike Trout gets upset online, because he even commented about it being bad, that's when you know it's bad. Overall, MLB replay makes zero sense because there was actually a case in one of the Mets-Marlins games that I watched, and it went in the Mets' favor, so I don't be mad. But he was clearly out, and they just went to replay and still said he was safe. And I was like, what? And obviously, you've got the big Michael Conforto call, too, if you go to that. Not reviewable, but either way.
Yeah, that was just the season, right? It was early. It was last week.
Yeah, it was last, I believe, Friday. Last Friday it was. Let me just say, everyone complains about individual sports officiating. I don't know if there's one worse than baseball's.
Yeah, well, there's a grievance every single day.
It's terrible.
The NBA is, as of late, has been running in stride with baseball, but baseball's been taking the cake for 50 years now. I mean, nobody can get the right call from an umpire anymore. So it's crazy the way that refereeing or officiating has become so scrutinized in pro sports. So it's just another instance. This is not the last time we're going to see something like this season, especially with all the new rules in baseball now. Somebody's going to find a grievance that they don't like with an umpire eventually. So we'll see how it goes, but don't have much more to talk about that. It was just a terrible call, and you got to live with it. Braves Twitter was not very happy last night, but they move on. It's about 155 more games, so just gotta keep moving.
Yeah, I mean we're only a week and a half into the season, guys. So in strides.
But that week and a half has not done wonders for our two New York baseball teams, the Mets and the Yankees. What's going on with your Metropolitans? And I'll kind of chime in on what's going on with the Pinstripes.
Well, it's pretty obvious is that the Mets don't know how to hit with runners in scoring position. That's issue number one. Issue number two, their bullpen is terrible. Obviously, they lost game one again of the season because they blew a perfect Jacob deGrom start. And then what they do against the Marlins when he started a couple days ago, he had one run in 8 innings. So, God, so bad of Jacob deGrom to get one run over 8 innings. And then they ended up losing 3-0 because Edwin Diaz, the worst pitcher in baseball, came in, gave up 2 runs in the ninth. And they scored 0 runs, got shut out because Michael Conforto doesn't know how to hit when there's somebody on base. It's just been a terrible start. They got bailed out against Miami on that Friday, like I said, Conforto getting hit, air quotes, when the ball was a strike. But it's whatever. I guess the Mets will take a bad officiating. It's just the bullpen stinks, which is just like the Mets shtick. Like that's all they do is like they're terrible with their bullpen, and they're not able to hit with scoring position. You want to I'm a Mets fan. We mentioned Tom, who's a big baseball fan. He likes the Mets way more than I do. We brought him in here. You guys would still be here at 9:30 listening to a rant about the Mets team. But it's early in the season. I'm not going to get too upset. even though they're 2-3, they're still technically second in at least. The more crazy thing is that their first series got canceled because of Washington Nationals COVID issues.
Yep.
Their Sunday game got canceled because of rain, and then their game tonight got canceled because of rain. They've played 5 games after like a week of the season, or not even a week, like 6 days of the season. Or how long has it been?
Season started on April 1st, so it's been 11 days.
It's been like, yeah, today would be the 11th day, and they've played 5 games. Everyone else is getting double digits already.
Yeah.
Like, the Mets have just had an interesting start to the season with their on the field issues, and then now off the field. It's not off the field issues, but like not being able to play games. Very weird start to the season for the Mets. But hey, it's the Mets. Even when you get a new owner and better teams on paper, nothing can still go right.
Absolutely, and you talk about the Mets. So they haven't even had some of their starters haven't even pitched yet. It's such a weird kind of season that they're going. Marcus Stroman last night, like you mentioned, the game that got rained out. 9 pitches were thrown, so Marcus Stroman loses the start there. He doesn't actually lose the start, but he's not able to pitch again for another 5 days.
Okay, so that was the case, but he actually said apparently today, and it was reported by Anthony DiComo that he's going to pitch tomorrow because it's going to be better. He's going to pitch tomorrow. He threw today and told the manager Luis Rojas that he would be able to pitch in one of the 2 game doubleheaders tomorrow. So he is going to pitch tomorrow. Okay,
so that makes sense. Then that's good for him. He seemed very upset that they even played the game last night.
Very.
Yeah, the Mets have just been dealt with, such 2020, 2021 kind of nonsense so far in this season, whether it be COVID, whether it be extracurriculars like the rain. The Mets just can't catch a break. But Yankees haven't been dealt that kind of problem, but they still can't catch a break. They've lost 2 out of their 3 series, and the one series that they did win, they only won 2 out of 3 games versus the Orioles. So it's just disappointing so far. Obviously, yeah, we have whatever it is, 153 more games, and we're in the middle of one right now, down 1-0 to the Blue Jays, so that's fun, bottom of the second. They're just such a weird team. First of all, you can't get anybody healthy.
That's the Yankees thing. Like you talk about the Mets thing with bad bullpen, that's the Yankees thing. They should never help.
I mean, Yankees bullpen isn't anything to write home about either, I'll tell you that. But I have been impressed with what I've seen from Chad Green, so that's fun. Luke Voit won't be back till the end of May. Aaron Judge, it seems like whenever he stubs his toe, he sits out a day. So that's fun. Who else hasn't played? Oh my God, why am I blanking? Just Glaber missed a game.
He also had a great throw.
Yeah, I don't even want to talk about that he completely lost us a game in extras. I know we talked about the rule last week, but yeah, the Yankees got the same opportunity, but they didn't get the same defensive error from their shortstop in the bottom of the 10th. So just poor playing for the Yankees. Nobody can hit unless it's a home run. Tyler Wade still gets played in the lineup sometimes. That's just never happened. Jay Bruce and Roughneck Odor are 7 guys right now. It's a total mismatch of players, of a roster that's been still being constructed basically, and there's just no consistency whatsoever from the Yankees. Even when Garrett Cole's pitching, I'm not 100% confident that we come out with a win. It's kind of like what the Mets are doing with DeGrom. I mean, when he starts, yeah, that's going to be your most confident opportunity for a win, but with the supporting cast around him, it's just never guaranteed. So when Garrett Cole's pitching like that, yeah, it's impressive what he does personally, but he doesn't pitch the entire game. He gets taken out middle of the 6th, 7th inning, and our guys just choke. Our guys can't hit the ball, and the relief pitchers they're not playing up to par. Again, I'm trying to get more into baseball as this season progresses, but the Yankees have been so inconsistent that it's making it difficult.
Yeah, and we got to move on to the NBA talk, but before we do, 9 games in the season for most teams at least. What's a couple teams that have surprised you so far?
White Sox definitely. They've been doing well. Padres have been doing well, and they're not doing great. But I'd like to say that the Angels are playing up to the standard that I think that they should have this year.
6-3. They were surprising to me because they're just like, even though they have the talent, I just always expect them not to be as good as their talent shows. The Red Sox, them being
Yeah, Red Sox are surprised. JD Martinez is out to make a statement apparently.
they got swept by the Orioles opening series, and they've swept the Orioles back and swept the Rays. That's wild to me.
Very weird.
The Reds being 6-3, that's interesting, kind of surprising to me.
Indians 5-3.
Yeah, the Cubs being 4-5, I thought they'd be better.
Phillies at the top of the division.
Yeah, the San Francisco Giants being 6-3, that's odd. There's a couple things here and there, things being weird. But I think that will do it for our MLB talk today.
It's 9 games into the season, but there's not much going on.
We did our predictions last week, basically after one series was in. It's time to move into the NBA, though. So I did not know the Lakers and Knicks were playing right now. Hey, they are. So NBA this week in this league.
Knicks better get that win.
Celtics, are they back? I don't know.
So back.
7-3 in their last 10. They beat the Nuggets last night. Yeah, the Nuggets were undefeated since the trade deadline, but no Jamal Murray there. I'm going to be the Debbie Downer for you, Tyler. They forgot how to play basketball.
Their bench forgot how to play basketball.
What was it, 40-8?
40-8 run to end the game. Pretty impressive. I don't know. A lot of teams haven't done that recently.
You know what that's Heat Celtics in conference finals.
Oh, yeah. No, that was just – I can't think about that right now.
I told you I live with a Celtics fan, and another buddy of mine is a Celtics fan, so we go back and forth all the time. But I still can't believe that Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals, the Celtics had a 17-point lead at one point in the fourth quarter and managed to lose.
Celtics have won 5 last 6, 7 of the last 10. All right. Tatum just dropped 53. Now,
stat padding against the worst defensive team.
Let's not act like no, he was not stat padding because that game went to overtime and we had to come back down 15 somehow in that game.
Who are you guys playing?
We were playing the Timberwolves.
Interesting. Down 15 to the Timberwolves.
That should never happen, and I don't even know why I admitted it, but it's encouraging. Okay, we're getting the wins that we need to get.
I said stat padding because there was a time that Jaylen Brown had a free dunk at the end of the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Toss it back to Tatum for him to get a dunk.
Well, that was with 15 seconds left, so that was a little dangerous.
What he should have done is just dribble the game out so you didn't have to go to overtime.
Yeah, definitely.
There was no one back.
There was nobody back, but then again, I mean, it would have taken him what? 4 more seconds to foul. It would have been 10 seconds left, and you got to make 2 free throws instead of a wide open dunk. It's to each their own. But Celtics got Portland, LA, and Golden State this week. 3 games that are probably winnable, but Dame will probably put 50 on us, and we'll be right back down to earth. Lakers and Golden State, though, should be wins. Absolutely. Your Heat, though, obviously making a resurgence. What's up with streaky team? Oladipo getting hurt kind of hurts.
Debbie Downer. The reports haven't been bad though. He's going to be out this road trip. Started last night against Portland. He won that game. That was a pretty good one. But then they've got the Suns tomorrow.
Phoenix and Denver back to back's tough.
Yeah.
You got to get one of those.
Well, Phoenix is playing tonight, so we catch them on a back to back. Maybe a little fatigue tomorrow. It's possible. Either way. They are playing better. Vic Depot. It's unfortunate, but it might not be ending. Like there's no damage to his ACL. There's nothing like that. They just are gonna make a decision for his future. Is what it is. But he's got terrible knees. He's got knees like me. My knees are awful, man. I hurt myself this weekend playing basketball myself. But yeah, they're playing better. The defense is outstanding. They've played the Blazers twice, and Damian Lillard's been locked up twice. The first game they played, Damian only had 20 points on 6 of 20 shooting, and he didn't have a good game last night either. The Heat's defense, man, it's going to scare people. I'm not going to say they are going to make the run they did last year, but I wouldn't want to play them.
No, they're too scrappy. You don't want to play in the playoffs.
And Jimmy Butler is just so gritty. I love Jimmy Butler. To me, he's my second favorite. Or I don't know, second maybe most important Heat player in the past 20 years, outside of D Wade. LeBron came in, won 2 rings, but LeBron came alongside end of prime D Wade and prime Chris Bosh at the time. Jimmy Butler came here with second-year Bam or third-year Bam Adebayo and rookie Tyler Hero and brought them to the finals in his first year. That's kind of absurd.
Yeah.
So
Mickey Mouse, but it's okay.
Amen. I've gotten a lot of those, and my only response is, if it's a Mickey Mouse, what does it say about your team that you couldn't get done in the Mickey Mouse?
A lot of teams couldn't get it done. Giannis off an MVP season couldn't get it done in the Mickey Mouse. That's
if it was so easy, why couldn't any other team do it?
You're absolutely right. No, that's all of the Mickey Mouse nonsense is just jokes, unless it's when you're talking about LeBron's championship.
That counts.
That's Mickey Mouse, but it's whatever. He was one in Disney World. It's cool.
Yeah. I love the Twitter thing.
It's so funny.
Like, if LeBron tweets anything, his comments
La Fraud, La Mickey
of the Mickey Mouse like hot dog.
The most recent one I saw was it was like these pictures are so cold, and then it was somebody walking next to the to a wall, and it was a shadow of something, and then it was LeBron walking next to the wall, and it was a shadow of Mickey Mouse. I think it was Durant walking, and it was like a shadow of a cupcake or a snake or something like that. But yeah, then LeBron was walking next to him as a Mickey Mouse shadow right next to him, so that was hilarious.
I love NBA Twitter so much.
Speaking of LeBron and Durant, one of them did not play in the matchup of Lakers Nets this past week, but Durant did, albeit on a minutes restriction. Lakers rolled over the Nets 126-101. So supporting cast.
I'm not. They had a good game. It can happen at any time.
Mm-hmm.
The Nets, KD played 19 minutes. Kyrie played 19 minutes after he got ejected.
Yes, not very fond of slurs.
Marcus Aldridge is terrible.
Yes, people were acting like that was some sort of like last Infinity Stone into the gauntlet when he signed with the Nets. He's stunk for 2 years. What?
Like, yeah, he can maybe hit a turnaround jump shot 5 times a game.
So can 200 other guys in the league.
I don't know. I didn't put any stock into that because, I mean, like the Lakers, they're second to have been playing better recently, but like they still have like lost a lot of games, and so.
Talon Horton-Tucker, he's coming around for me a little bit though.
I'm not putting too much stock into that game at all. Like when you've got
no Harden
teams fully healthy, I still think the Nets are a better team.
Absolutely, and I really don't think it's very close. But then again, you have the LeBron, the AD factor. AD's a mismatch on anybody on the Nets, and LeBron, Durant, yeah, he defends it pretty well historically, but LeBron's still going to get his 40 and 10 and 10.
I'm still standing by what I said, though, that the Lakers are making out the West this year.
I will remember that. Yes, I actually kind of forgot that from last week, but thank you for reminding me.
I'll say it every week.
Say it every week. Say it every week till we're done with the Records Cut this year.
As long as no significant injury to the Clippers, I think they're coming out the West.
Clippers are scary, but Rondo, huge addition. Talk about Rajon Rondo real quick on a very quick tangent. We only got a couple minutes left. He has been the same player for 10 years.
Exactly.
And he never he's not the guy who needs to be dunking on people. It's not his three-pointer's actually gotten better. He's the same distributor, he's the same defender, he's the same leader that he's been since taking over the reign in Boston. And the Clippers get that luxury now. The Lakers had it last year, he won a title. He's going to be so key for them because Patrick Beverley, while he's a defensive anchor, he's not a leader. His voice sounds like he's a leader, but nobody really listened to Patrick Beverley. All right, people listen to Rajon Rondo. People think they value his opinion as a distributor, as a floor general. He is one of the smartest guys in the NBA. I love that he hates Chris Paul too. It's so funny. That feud is one of the last feuds that you can actually see in the NBA. Is just two guys not liking each other. It's Chris Paul and Rajon Rondo. But that's going to be great for the Clippers this year, and I think it's a real X factor, like you said, for the Clippers, you potentially coming out of the West. Speaking of, you said before that LaMarcus Aldridge can hit a turnaround jumper, and I said so can 200 other guys. What's up with all these ridiculous stat lines in the NBA now?
Weird weekend, man.
Weird year, weird last 2 years. Chris Boucher's dropping 38 and 19. Really? Gary Trent's 24 and 30. Gary Trent's dropping 44 on 17 and 19 shooting. I love the level of talent that we have in this NBA. I think it's good for basketball. I think it encourages a lot of guys to get better. But we gotta stop. We gotta chill out with some of these guys.
Yeah,
like,
it's getting ridiculous.
It's getting a little ridiculous. Like, yeah, Derrick Rose dropping 50 a couple years ago. That was cool. Chris Boucher dropping 40 and 20. Like, yeah, good for you, Chris Boucher. I liked you as a player for a long time, but slowly roll a little bit, pal. Like, this is just not something that we're going to be seeing consistently. Guys, going for 40 used to be a commodity. Now it's 2 new guys every week dropping either 40 or 20 rebounds or 20 games or 20 assists. It's just weird the way that the guys have been stat padding, and that's why I think that, just quickly, Russell Westbrook, one of the most influential basketball players in the past 20 years. Just the sole fact of filling up the stat sheet is what these guys have been doing nowadays. And again, there's no defense in this league either. So weird stat lines that we've seen across the association this year and last year. Just very odd.
Yeah, you hit it right on the head. And there's nothing more I can add to that. But to round out our show tonight, our pick and rolls, obviously what we do every week with NBA basketball and basketball in general. 2 picks that both of us like. I got you last week because I had Baylor minus +5.
Yeah.
You took the flip side, Gonzaga, right? You took the over too. That didn't hit, did it?
Brutal. Brutal.
Didn't hit it.
It was so alive in the last 5 minutes, and it just nothing was going right.
All right, but either way, I'll get it started this week. In my first pick, I don't usually do over-unders, but I'm going to do it this time. 228.5. A lot of points. Bulls, Grizzlies. Don't play defense. A lot of offense. Over 220.5 points. It's aggressive, but I'm rolling with it.
No, I like that pick a lot. 2 teams that, like you said, don't play a lot of defense. This is a good one. This might be lock of the director's cut so far. Suns -12 against Phoenix. Are you kidding? I mean, against the Rockets. Are you kidding me? The Rockets are so bad.
Trap.
I don't know, man. The Rockets are so bad.
Trap.
Oh, it probably is a trap because that's what I just love betting nowadays. But that'd be my first pick and roll of the night.
My second, it's going to be the Sacramento Kings +2 against the Pelicans. It's back-to-back for the Pelicans. We didn't talk about Zion today, but my Lord, I am starting to put him in my top 10 NBA player rankings already.
He is a dominant player.
It's crazy he's only 20. When he's 23 and matures even more, he might put up Shaq-like numbers. No joke. And be as dominant as Shaq. But back-to-back, I don't know. The Pelicans are a weird team. The games you'd think they'd win, they're at home against the Kings. They lose. So I think the Kings win.
Kings probably there's a good chance to come out with a win there. The Pelicans on a back-to-back is very weird. De'Aaron Fox has been playing really good as well. Second one I'll take, Denver coming off a brutal loss yesterday. There's no way they play as bad as they do. Warriors missing Wiseman. If Jamal Murray's back, and I would like to see if he is before I take this bet, but Denver -4.5 at Golden State, and I know it's a road favorite, and I hate taking road favorites, but I think Jokic's big night tonight. Just huge night from Jokic. He seemed very upset, did not want to get in the Denver huddle in the fourth quarter. So it's going to be one of those 0 dark 30 locked in nights for Nikola Jokic.
0 dark 30 for Jokic. Well, that's going to end our show tonight. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next Monday. So signing off for Tyler Smith and Nic Rohloff. Listen to the Director's Cut on WSBU 80.3 The Buzz.